Welcome back to another episode of the Corporate Cowboys podcast. Today's what's a proof of life? It's Tuesday, January 3rd, 2023. My name is Alex, and for the next half hour, you will have a little cathartic release on this corporate life. Today's question, it's a free 30-minute consult. The question coming from r/CareerGuidance. Now, I guess I'll give you the upfront that I cherry pick these to have them be good episodes. I mean, there are a ton of questions out there on the internet from Reddit, from Quora, from fucking Yahoo, saying or just asking BS questions, right? I feel like the most convenient in terms of material and context tend to be Reddit. I mean, they tend to put up life stories sometimes. Sometimes there's a lot of really good context. Sometimes it gives us the opportunity to think, to analyze, to want to prospect somebody's situation. So we come up with questions. Obviously, if you come to us for a one-to-one, there's going to be a personalized interview in order to be able to help you. So if you want to reach out to us, by all means, we're on Instagram. You know where to find us. It's at Corporate Cowboys with a Z. We're on Patreon also. Some of the tiers have a question and answer function. You could also write to us, P.O. Box 3372, Rancho Cordova, California 95741. Without further ado, r/CareerGuidance is asking, how do you accept corporate life? How do you accept corporate life? I'm thinking like what, how you accept the office politics of it all, the having to navigate the corporate ladder of it all, having to work a little bit with the cloak and dagger of it all. I don't know. Let's find out. That's just the title. The body reads as such. I have been working in a corporate environment for 4 years now. Recently made a career switch to a new field 6 months ago in the same company. Okay. So you're making career moves. You're still with the same company. You're still with the same organization. I would imagine the hierarchy might look a little different. The overall chain of command and order of operations might look a little different. But if you're in the same company, it's possible you have the same template, the same layout, because we're dealing with cultures within cultures, right? If you're making a career move, you might be in a different department, right? And that departmental culture might vary ever so slightly from the overall organizational culture. But at the end of the day, there are some common factors that you can use to leverage and continue making corporate career moves. Continuing, it says the new job comes with the new job comes with types of stress. The new job comes with types of stress that I'm unfamiliar with. I used to be a software developer and now project specialist/coordinator. The nature of the new job involves a lot of coordination with stakeholders, which I am still getting used to. No, that's definitely different from software developer where you only have to answer to maybe a project manager. Now you've become the project specialist. You've become the point person, a point of contact, a representative for the team. So you've now become a degree more public facing and now have to interact face to face with clients and stakeholders. It says our big boss at any point would scream/yell at people. I've been yelled at thrice now. That's three times. Thrice now in the past 6 months. I'm always on my toes and anxious. I go to my line manager for the smallest details, which is now enabling her to micromanage and scrutinize my work. Our office is also understaffed. which she admitted. Okay. So you've been yelled at. I get it. That happens. Don't take it personal. Some motherfuckers can't handle stress as good as others, as well as others, as well as others. So if that's your big boss is yelling at you, they're probably not yelling at you. They're probably yelling at the team, just trying to convey a message across to you. Unless they're pointing you out, unless they're calling you out by name and saying, you are a piece of shit, right? And actually ad hominuming you, right? Actually attacking you as a person, I wouldn't take it personally, right? It could be that he's yelling, we need to get this fucking project done. Our clients, our stakeholders depend, something along those lines. If they're yelling out into the ether that this project is of great importance, shit, take that to heart because you are the point man for the project. Now, you may or may not think that them yelling at you, that your salary or your wage is worth them yelling at you, and you could bring that up the next time around during review potentially. Always have some cards up your sleeves or in your back pocket. Have a job lined up if you really aren't about the culture that you are in right now. Right? If the departmental culture is completely different from what you expected, or you simply cannot manage your boss because, I mean, you're a specialist now. You've become a point of contact. So you need to learn how to deal with people, both the client and your supervisors. Why? Because you're now in the middle and they will try to squeeze you from both sides. The client is demanding a product and the boss is demanding the product, right? So you've got to learn how to manage both. That being said, your supervisor, is it your immediate supervisor? Yeah, your line manager, which sounds like your immediate supervisor, the one you report to, is also the one you were asking questions of. And now they've become comfortable micromanaging. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that you're doing a piss poor job. You're 6 months on. I don't know how many projects you've worked on, but if this is your first, take it as only your first, right? Take it as you learning the ropes. You're necessarily transferring from software development into account management, essentially. If you are this project specialist, you are managing this account for this project. That depends if it's only going to one client or if you have to interface with multiple clients. Shit, you're still in client management and you've got the actual client who's buying it from your organization and the client who is demanding its production. That's your immediate supervisor, your line manager. So handling both, learning to handle both will become of the utmost importance while you settle in becoming a specialist, becoming a coordinator. You've got to learn how to coordinate them, how to coordinate with them both. That's management. That's beyond just time management and organization, right? Now you've got to manage people, but you have to do it in a way so subtle that you don't undermine your line manager, you don't undermine the big boss, and you definitely don't dissatisfy or displease the client, right? It's going to require you become adaptable. You need to be adaptive. You need to be on your toes. You need to move out of that technical space you were in before as a software developer and become a little more fluid, social, professional, if you will. Because the way you communicate as a professional dealing with people is very different than simply reporting your work and sending deliverables to a manager. It's different. It's a different ball game. Now, I'm just walking you through the most preliminary steps, right? When you're making this career move, it's essentially a career change, right? You're moving from from one specialty to another, right? And to do that, I mean, I commend you. I commend you really for wanting to branch out, expand on what you already know, because that software development background will definitely help inform your managers and inform the clients on the type of work that's being done. Now you've got to add another layer to it in order to be that coordinator, to be that consummate professional in coordinating the work between clients and between your organization so no one leaves the table unhappy. Now, having to manage people is that much more challenging because you're dealing not just with moving parts, but uh, inevitably, variably moving parts, right? So, because these are humans after all, you would think that you could just set them and forget them, right? But that's not so much true. You've got to, in a sense, also touch on the work that's being done. And it should be your hope that you're not micromanaging and that others don't feel like you are micromanaging. Again, I mentioned this might be your first project, and you might think that your line manager is overstepping their bounds, but you may have asked, you may have asked the type of questions that merit their involvement. Okay, it shouldn't make you suspicious. This is the first position. I mean, we don't know your work history, we don't know your educational background. These are questions that we would ask in a one-to-one, right? In a one-on-one interview with you, there are a ton of questions that we would ask in order to ascertain, to find out, to determine whether or not the manager is justified in following up with you at the rate that they are, right? You may have asked the type of questions that not they don't set off red flags to them, but cause them to want to be involved in order for the project to go off without a hitch, in order to prevent progress from being retarded, right? And in order to prevent retarding progress on this project. Now, you want to take that into the next project, into the second, into the third, into the fourth. Learn which questions trigger that, right? And then work around it. You ought to become self sustainable, self efficient, self motivating, right? To be able to knock these projects out the park and not have your manager breathing down your neck, which you may feel like, but if you're asking the type of questions that require somebody above your pay grade to be involved, they're going they're going to identify that and they're going to focus on that to be sure that whatever they put their name down on, whatever advice they're giving you, is being implemented. It could just be that they have more experience. They have more experience as a specialist, as a coordinator, in the position that you are in currently, in your new position. They might have more experience, better experience in handling situations for the specific questions you're asking about. What you want to do, first and foremost, is take notes. Take notes. Never stop learning. I mean, your manager is there for a reason, and they're there for you to ask questions, right? In order to have your obligations, your duties, your tasks better outlined, better informed. You want to know, I mean, you want them to know that you're not going into this shit blind either, right? And just running willy nilly at your own discretion for how the project should be going. You want to consider their goals and their objectives for the project. I'm sorry, not just for the product. I mean, it could be a product or a service, but for the project. Additionally, if you have the authority, if you have the bandwidth, consider the client's points of view. Maybe something you could integrate there, something you can incorporate there, and maximize opportunities for satisfaction on both sides. Now, they continue here. Oh, that their office is also understaffed. There's not much I could do there. There's not much that you could do there. I mean, unless you're the one who's in charge of hiring, firing, training, converting, terminating, unless you're in charge of any of that on the operations side, on the onboarding side, I mean, really best you could do is outline the duties that best fall into the categories of, I don't know, a specialist or a developer, and then somebody else like in an auxiliary support role. Outline which duties could be siloed under particular job positions and pitch it. Pitch it. What's the worst that could happen? They say no, we don't need somebody else. We're good the way we are now. Selling, pushing mediocre projects with understaffed project teams. What's the worst that could happen? They say no and admit that they're mediocre. Come on, fam. You have to learn how to put this together and pitch it as an initiative. Maybe you do need another set of hands. Maybe you do need another pair of eyeballs. Maybe you do need another brain in order to provide some relief to the rest of the team. Pick up a little bit of the slack to better polish the deliverables that the client receives. You don't know that. You don't know that because, well, I mean, I haven't asked. And if you hear this episode, I hope a light bulb goes off and you think, shit, there's an option. There's an option that could take some stress off of my plate and we could better distribute what the workload looks like. It says here, continuing, I had a panic attack. I had a panic/anxiety attack last month in the office over a project I'm handling. I am in therapy, but I still have difficulties. I can't help you there, fam. I mean, if you have to do breathing exercise, if it's gotten to the point where you have to do breathing exercises, I mean, shit. I usually just go to the range or sharpen my guns, oil my knives, type thing. Vice versa. Sharpen my knives, oil the guns. It says I'm in therapy, but I still have difficulties. Again, I can't help you there. I'm struggling with the idea that I will be working in such an environment until I reach retirement age. Damn, you really, what, you're in this bitch for the long haul or something? What, did they tell you, like, where do you see yourself in they asked you, where do you see yourself in 5 years? And you said, here, right fucking here. I don't plan on moving. I'm not moving up. I'm not moving down. I'm gonna be here and retire. Get the fuck. All right. It says, only to be allowed to, quote, enjoy my life for a little while. I don't see myself as living, quote, living currently. I'm only doing this for my future self. Well, shit. I think, though, that last paragraph kind of tells us that they're getting paid well. Um, they're getting paid, I guess, stereotypically well, because they could be getting paid like a decent amount of money. But if the amount of time that needs to be committed, if the amount of energy that needs to be committed is not justifiable, then they might not be getting paid well at all. I mean, this person is stressing and having anxiety attacks in their office. Who knows if it's on the job or off the clock? I don't know. Those are questions I would ask, right? Those are questions that need to be answered in order to give a better informed opinion. They write an edit here. Edit, I just woke up and saw the responses. To those saying to leave, I am definitely brushing my resume and will be on the lookout. In the meantime, I'll gain as much skills as I can from this place before I peace out. There you go. That last piece should pretty much be MO for any modern day professional. MO, you learn as much as you possibly can, not just about your position, but every motherfucker around you. You ought to be social. You ought to be the consummate professional, wanting to learn the ins and the outs of the operation in which you are involved in. Otherwise, you're just quote unquote doing your job. And when we've seen where that leads, we've seen it in Germany, Russia, China. This shit is not new. It's not new. It's happening now in the US, in the UK, in Asia, in Europe. Get the fuck out of here. If you're just doing your job You're not, quote, living. And you won't, quote, retire. It says here only to be allowed to, quote, enjoy my life for a little while. Dog, if you have to retire to enjoy your life, you're dead. Fucking off yourself. That is not legal advice. Disclaimer, not legal advice. I meant turn off and turn on, right? Have you tried rebooting? Damn. Reboot yourself. There you go. That's code. That's good enough. They say I'll gain as much skills as I can from this place before I peace out. Yeah, always be brushing that resume up. Always be on the lookout for what comes next because the next opportunity might be better. The next opportunity might be slightly different. Maybe pay you more. Maybe require less time, less responsibilities, more money, and they might be looking for the exact experience or the exact skills and abilities that you put on your resume that you are able to interview on. You see, now we're talking about exit strategies. But I mean, in the meantime, I mean, in the meantime, I guess get your mental health in order, right? Don't just go rebooting yourself willy nilly. Just on the one, don't go rebooting yourself. Two, uh, I mean, continue with your best foot forward. Don't take it personal. And I know for some, they might be perfectionists, they might have issues with feedback and criticism. Don't take it personal unless the big boss, quote, unless the big boss is calling you out by name saying, Alex, you piece of fucking shit, right? Like, don't just who gives a fuck? It's the big boss. They're running hot. They got high blood pressure. They're popping capillaries in their fucking eyeball. What do I give a shit, right? They can't handle stress like I can. I'm posted. I'm chilling. I'm calm, cool, collected. I'm I'm what they want to be, but I'm on my way up. I'm on the way up, right? They're just on the next rung of the corporate ladder, frying. They can't handle the heat. You have to be that motherfucker. You have to be that cool. You have to be that calm, that collected in order to see through their emotions. Some motherfuckers operate predominantly on emotion. Some motherfuckers are just like that. They don't know how to control their emotion and let emotion get the best of their logic. Let emotion become their personality and let it come before business even, right? Business shouldn't be emotional. Granted that business is personal, but you should not blame somebody for what they are. Just take it into consideration, take it in stride, do everything out of out of love. Out of love. Love is a strong emotion, right? Some motherfuckers can't help but being petty, whiny assholes, and you, for the love of the game, you're just gonna pull a fucking Heisman on them. You're gonna clothesline them. You're gonna cloak and dagger a motherfucker, create that vacuum, and move up for the love of the game. All right, that's off topic. That's off topic. Let's hit up a couple of these comments real quick and see if we can't comment on them. The first one says, I've been working in corporate settings for over 15 years and have never been yelled at. That sounds like a tremendously toxic environment that you should not, quote, accept. Apply for jobs at different companies. Yeah, maybe I went off topic a little bit from the title. How do you accept the corporate life? How do you accept uh, working in corporate? You have to accept that you were born into this shit. Really, you want to get down to the nitty gritty. It could be that the type of experience you gather from this place is so coveted and can only be learned under this asshole big boss, right? That's why the turnover is so high. But the experience you obtain from there might be that much more valuable. And again, it goes back to how you manage and handle stress, how you manage them as a boss, how you manage the client, but but most importantly, how you handle stress. Right? If all it takes is for somebody to get riled up, to get aroused, to get stimulated socially, to elevate their voice and start waving their hands and shit, and you start going to the fight or flight. I mean, don't go. Obviously, somebody gets loud, may be a cause for concern. But if it's not, like I said, directed to you personally, what are you giving a shit for? Why are you worried? It ain't your stress. It's not your stress. You're taking on that stress voluntarily. You're making the decision. You're taking the decision. Is it making the decision? You're deciding to take on that stress voluntarily of your own volition. Don't do it. Just don't. Fucking let the boss stress. That's what they're there for. Again, that depends on the degree of control and the degree of authority you have in your newfound position as a specialist, as a coordinator. If it's the boss who has to kiss up to clients in order to please them, let that motherfucker do it. It could be male or female. I don't give a fuck. Let that motherfucker do it. Let that person do it, right? The second comment here says, buddy, this is not normal. You had the misfortune of working with a shithead. It's toxic. Get out. There are better places out there. You'll still have shitty managers aplenty, but won't get shouted at. There you go. I pretty much just touched on that. You still want to be learning the most you can, even up and onto your way out, right? Don't necessarily burn the bridge. Remain as professional as not stone faced, but rather stoic, right? You want to take these hits. And they're not even hits. We don't know if this shouting is being directed at them, right? We don't know if they're being talked down to or just being exclaimed at, right? We don't know that. So I can't opine, and that's the personal verb for opinion. I can't really be of the opinion that the manager is a asshole just outright without a little bit more context. And in a one-on-one, I would ask exactly that. I would ask the type of probing questions, the type of probative questions to be able to better audit what the culture in this department looks like in the organization overall, and provide a more informed opinion. So something that the client could use as actionable, the type of intelligence that they need. Shit that I would have wanted if I was moving from one division to another and having to learn and juggle new and different skills. See, we don't even know whether or not they were trained, whether or not there was in-house training that took place, or whether they took it upon themselves to learn how to interact and manage clients, interact and manage a promotion, interact and manage chains of command and what that looks like. We don't know, but they're good questions to ask. And if you can't reach out to a professional who can help you with that, that's corporate Cowboys, then they're good questions to ask yourself. If you have the time, you have the patience, and you can develop the insight to do that with yourself. I mean, there ain't much more that I could do for you other than give you a second look, right? Once you start thinking like a corporate cowboy, you start moving a little more like a corporate cowboy. One last comment and then I'm out. It says here, what the fuck? Yelling is absolutely unacceptable. All right, I'm gonna stop it right there. Yeah, it's saying the comments are really just bitching about the yelling. I've been in situations. Okay, maybe I don't know what the stereotypical corporate culture is supposed to be like now. I'm just around it, but I'm not in organizations. I do a quick once over of what somebody's roster looks like. I give them the up and down one time. I just gloss over what the hierarchy looks like, and maybe it's because I'm I'm not gonna say I'm the best at it. Maybe it's because I'm able to do it. It just comes to be naturally on how to navigate a corporate ladder, how to navigate the organizational structure to get work done, right? Now, as an independent contractor, you get yelled at less. I'll give you that. But if you are agreeing to submit yourself to a corporate culture, I mean, that's an environment that you have to learn to get comfortable with. It might be fast paced, it might be high stress. All that shit you should have found out at the interview what it's like. Maybe you didn't ask the right questions before you got moved over or moved up from software development to specialist slash coordinator. Those might have been questions that never crossed your mind. And now you want answers to them? Now you need to know how to mitigate that? I mean, again, I'm not knocking you for being a novice. I'm not knocking you for being inexperienced. Again, I'm commending you for taking the initiative, making this move, wanting to explore the organization you are in even more, right? You wanted to explore more of it. I commend you for that. Now, now is the time when you should be working on your time off. During your time off, how to handle people, how to manage people. That's clients and supervisors. Again, that's why I'm railing on this because it's important. It doesn't change. You moving from this to another company where you might be a middle manager or another point of contact, a coordinator slash specialist, and you still have to report to clients and managers. But if you don't know how to manage them, then that stress is just going to build up again. That stress is going to begin to accumulate. You're going to be back on Reddit bitching about your new job. Why is the stress piling up? I'm having stress and anxiety. Again, I'm not knocking you for it now. It's the first time I'm seeing it. But if we were, if you had engaged us as corporate cowboys and we follow you through your career, we stand by you through your career, and we see a pattern that continues, a recurring pattern of you not learning what you're supposed to, of you not going out of your way to learn how to deal with people, clients, managers, how to handle projects, essentially, how to manage them, then it's by your own doing. It's by your own hand. What do you want us to do? we can't we can't just throw this knowledge into you that doesn't exist yet. I don't think it'll exist in the next decade. It could, it could, right? They could download that shit to your brain, but even then, you still have to act on it. I don't know whether or not they've touched on the areas of the. No, never mind. That's a long ass tangent. I'm not gonna go down that one. It's been 30 minutes. It's been 30 minutes. Enjoy the free consult. You need help, or a buddy needs help. You find yourselves in a similar situation and want to know how to coordinate with yourselves, between one another, and make moves in corporate. Shit, reach out to us. Reach out to us. Think through it. Become the corporate cowboys you want to see. Become the change you want to see. Yeah. Have a nice week. I'll catch you on the next one.